I could hear the distant rumble of thunder as I pulled into the driveway, the dark clouds casting a somber shadow over our modest suburban home. It had been a long day at the office, filled with mundane tasks and endless meetings, but I was looking forward to a quiet evening with my wife, Sarah. We had been married for 10 years, and while our relationship had its ups and downs, I never doubted her love for me. As I walked through the front door, I was greeted by the familiar scent of home-cooked dinner. Sarah was an excellent cook, and tonight she had prepared my favorite meal, lasagna with garlic bread. I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for her thoughtfulness. "Hey, honey," I called out, slipping off my shoes and hanging my coat in the hallway closet. "Dinner smells amazing." Sarah appeared in the doorway of the kitchen, her face lighting up with a warm smile. She looked as beautiful as ever, with her long brown hair cascading over her shoulders and her hazel eyes sparkling with warmth. "Thanks, Tom. I thought you'd appreciate a nice meal after a long day." We sat down to eat, and as we chatted about our days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Sarah seemed distracted, her mind elsewhere. I brushed it off, attributing it to her own busy day at work. After dinner, we settled on the couch to watch a movie. I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her close. But even as we cuddled, I sensed a distance between us. I tried to push the feeling aside, reminding myself that every couple had moments like this. As the credits rolled, Sarah got up to make us some tea. I took the opportunity to check my phone, scrolling through emails and messages. That's when I noticed a text from my best friend, Mark. "Hey, Tom, we still on for golf this Saturday?" I quickly replied, confirming our plans. Mark and I had been friends since college, and our weekly golf games were a cherished tradition. It was one of the few times I felt I could truly unwind and enjoy myself. "Tea's ready," Sarah announced, returning to the living room with 2 steaming mugs. We sipped our tea in comfortable silence, the rain now pattering softly against the windows. "I think I'm going to head to bed," Sarah said after a while, stifling a yawn. "I'm feeling pretty tired." I nodded, giving her a gentle kiss on the forehead. "Good night, sweetheart. I'll be up soon." As she disappeared upstairs, I stayed on the couch, lost in thought. The feeling of unease lingered, but I convinced myself that I was just being paranoid. Sarah loved me, and I loved her. There was no reason to doubt that. Little did I know, my world was about to be turned upside down. The next few days passed without incident. Sarah and I fell back into our usual routine, and the sense of normalcy helped to quell my worries. But there were still moments when I caught her staring off into space, a troubled look on her face. I wanted to ask her about it, to probe deeper, but I didn't want to seem intrusive. So I kept my concerns to myself, hoping that whatever was bothering her would pass. Saturday arrived, and I met Mark at the golf course. The sun was shining, and the fresh air felt invigorating. We played a few rounds, joking and bantering as we always did. But even as I laughed and chatted with my friend, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was wrong at home. "Hey, Tom," Mark said as we finished our game. "Is everything okay? You seem a bit off today." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just been a long week, I guess." Mark gave me a knowing look. "If you ever need to talk, you know I'm here, right?" I nodded, grateful for his friendship. "Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it." As we parted ways, I headed home, determined to have a heart-to-heart with Sarah. I needed to know what was going on, to understand why she seemed so distant. But when I walked through the front door, I was greeted by an empty house. "Sarah?" I called out, but there was no response. I checked the kitchen, the living room, and finally our bedroom, but she was nowhere to be found. Puzzled, I pulled out my phone and sent her a quick text. "Hey, where are you? Everything okay?" Minutes passed with no reply. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. Anxiety gnawed at my gut, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I paced the living room, my mind racing with possibilities. Maybe she had gone out for a walk or to run an errand, but why wouldn't she have told me? Just as I was about to call her again, I heard the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. Relief washed over me as I rushed to the front door, eager to see her and make sure she was all right. But when I opened the door, the sight that greeted me was one I would never forget. Sarah was sitting in the passenger seat of a car, her face pale and stricken. And in the driver's seat, looking equally shocked, was a man I had never seen before. My heart sank as the pieces began to fall into place. The distance, the distraction, the unexplained absences, it all made sense now. My wife was having an affair. I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind reeling with the betrayal. Sarah stumbled out of the car, tears streaming down her face. "Tom, please, I can explain." But I didn't want to hear her excuses. The pain and anger were too overwhelming. Without a word, I turned and walked back into the house, slamming the door behind me. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, and my wife shattered into a million pieces, and I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. I stood in the living room, my heart pounding as I tried to process what I'd just seen. Sarah and that man, the looks on their faces, it was all too much. I heard the front door creak open, and moments later, Sarah walked in. Her eyes were red and swollen, a mixture of fear and desperation etched across her face. "Tom," she began, her voice trembling, "please, just let me explain." I crossed my arms, trying to hold back the surge of emotions threatening to explode. "Explain what, Sarah? That you were with another man? That you've been lying to me?" She shook her head vehemently. "No, it's not like that. He's just a colleague from work. He gave me a ride home because my car wouldn't start." I narrowed my eyes, not buying her story for a second. "You expect me to believe that? After everything?" She stepped closer, her hands clasped together in a pleading gesture. "Tom, please. I swear there's nothing going on between us. He's just a friend, a co-worker. I was going to tell you about my car, but I didn't want to worry you." The anger bubbled up inside me, my hands clenching into fists. "Sarah, I've seen the way you've been acting. Distant, distracted, and now this. How long has this been going on?" Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head again. "Tom, there's nothing going on. I'm not cheating on you. Please, believe me." But her words felt hollow, her pleading insincere. I turned away, unable to look at her any longer. "I need some time to think," I said, my voice cold. "Just leave me alone for a while." She hesitated, then quietly walked upstairs, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I sank onto the couch, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and betrayal. Was she telling the truth? Or was this just another lie to cover up her infidelity? The next few days were tense and uncomfortable. Sarah made every effort to prove her innocence, showing me text messages from the supposed colleague, explaining her every move, but no matter what she did, I couldn't shake the image of her with that man. The seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing stronger with each passing day. On Wednesday evening, after another silent dinner, I decided to take a drive to clear my head. I needed to escape the suffocating atmosphere of our home, to find some clarity. As I pulled out of the driveway, I noticed Sarah watching me from the window, a look of sadness on her face. I didn't care. I needed answers. I drove aimlessly for a while, the city lights blurring past as I wrestled with my thoughts. Eventually, I found myself in a quiet park, the moon casting a pale glow over the empty benches and trees. I parked the car and sat there, staring out into the darkness. Just as I was beginning to feel some semblance of calm, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mark. "Hey man, how's everything going?" I hesitated for a moment, then typed a response. "Not great. Need to talk. Can you meet?" A few minutes later, his reply came. "Of course. Meet you at our usual spot in 15. I drove to our favorite bar, a small, dimly lit place that was always quiet enough for serious conversations. Mark was already there, a concerned look on his face as he sipped his beer. I slid into the booth across from him, grateful for his unwavering support. "What's going on, Tom?" he asked, leaning forward. I took a deep breath, the weight of my emotions threatening to crush me. "I think Sarah's cheating on me." His eyes widened in shock. "What? Are you sure?" I shook my head, feeling the frustration rise again. "I don't know. I saw her with a guy the other day. She says he's just a co-worker, but something doesn't add up. She's been acting so distant, and now this." Mark frowned, taking another sip of his beer. "Have you talked to her about it?" "Yeah, but she keeps denying it. Says there's nothing going on, but I don't know if I can believe her. He nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. That sounds tough, man. But you need to get to the bottom of this. Either she's telling the truth, or she's not. You deserve to know. I nodded, appreciating his straightforwardness. You're right, I need to know for sure. As we continued talking, Mark suggested a plan. Why don't you follow her, see where she goes, who she meets? It might give you the answers you're looking for. The idea made me uneasy, but I knew he was right. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Okay, I'll do it. The next day, I put the plan into action. I told Sarah I was going to be working late, and she seemed relieved, giving me a weak smile as she kissed me goodbye. After she left for work, I followed her at a safe distance, my heart pounding with anticipation. She drove to her office, and for a while, it seemed like everything was normal. But then, just after lunch, she left the building and got into the same car I'd seen her in before. My heart raced as I tailed them, trying to stay unnoticed. They drove to a secluded park, parking in a remote corner. I watched from a distance, my breath catching in my throat as they talked animatedly, their faces too close for comfort. Then, to my horror, they began kissing passionately, their bodies pressed against each other. My world shattered in that moment. The truth was undeniable. Sarah was cheating on me, and there was no going back. I pulled out my phone, taking a few photos as evidence. Then, with a heavy heart, I drove back home, the pain of betrayal cutting deep. There was no escaping it now. The woman I had loved and trusted for 10 years had broken that trust in the most unforgivable way. When I confronted Sarah that evening, she denied everything again, her lies growing more desperate and hysterical. But I had the evidence, and there was no hiding from the truth anymore. I'm filing for divorce, I said, my voice cold and final. I can't do this anymore. Her tears and pleas fell on deaf ears. My mind was made up, and there was no turning back. The road ahead would be difficult, but I knew it was the only way forward. I had to reclaim my life, no matter how much it hurt. The decision to file for divorce was final. The next few days were a blur of lawyer consultations and paperwork. Each moment felt surreal, as if I was living someone else's life. Sarah's increasingly desperate attempts to talk me out of it were futile. Her pleas and tears only hardened my resolve. One evening, as I was packing up my things, I found an old photo album tucked away in the back of our closet. Flipping through the pages, I saw images of happier times. Our wedding day, vacations, holidays, moments that now felt like a cruel joke. I slammed the album shut, unable to bear the memories. The past was over, and it was time to focus on the future. Mark had been my rock through all of this. He checked in regularly, offering support and a distraction when needed. One night, he convinced me to join him for a drink at a local bar we used to frequent in our younger days. Reluctantly, I agreed, needing the break from the oppressive atmosphere of my home. The bar was crowded, filled with the hum of conversation and laughter. We found a booth in the back, ordered a couple of beers, and settled in. For the first time in weeks, I felt a semblance of normalcy. As we talked, I noticed a group of women at the bar, one of whom kept glancing our way. She was attractive, with striking blue eyes and a confident smile. I caught her gaze, and she raised her glass in a silent toast. I nodded back, a small spark of interest flickering within me. "You should go talk to her," Mark said, nudging me with his elbow. I laughed, shaking my head. "It's too soon, man. I'm not ready for that. Come on, Tom, it's just a conversation, nothing more." With a sigh, I took a swig of my beer and stood up. All right, I'll be right back." I approached the bar, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The woman smiled as I drew closer, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Hi," I said, feeling slightly awkward. "I'm Tom." "Nice to meet you, Tom. I'm Jenna." Her voice was warm and inviting, instantly putting me at ease. We chatted for a while, and I found myself enjoying her company more than I had expected. She was funny, smart, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and I almost forgot about the turmoil in my life. When I returned to the booth, Mark had a satisfied grin on his face. "See? That wasn't so bad, was it?" I chuckled, feeling a bit lighter. No, it wasn't. Thanks, Mark. In the weeks that followed, Jenna and I continued to see each other. Our relationship was casual, but it provided a welcome distraction from the pain of my impending divorce. She was understanding and patient, never pushing for more than I could give. For the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. But as I tried to move forward, Sarah's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would show up unannounced at my office, begging for another chance. She left tearful messages on my phone, swearing that the affair was a mistake and that she loved me more than anything. Her hysteria only made me more resolute in my decision to leave her. One night, as I was leaving work, I found her waiting by my car. Her eyes were wild, and she looked disheveled, as if she hadn't slept in days. "Tom, please!" she cried, grabbing my arm. "We need to talk. Just give me 5 minutes." I sighed, feeling a mix of pity and frustration. "Sarah, there's nothing more to say. It's over." "No, it's not!" she screamed, her grip tightening. "I won't let you leave me!" Before I could react, she pulled out a small, jagged object from her purse. My heart raced as I realized it was a broken piece of glass. "Sarah, put that down," I said calmly, trying to defuse the situation. "No!" she yelled, tears streaming down her face. "If I can't have you, no one will." Just then, a security guard appeared, drawn by the commotion. He quickly assessed the situation and approached us cautiously. "Mom, you need to put that down," he said firmly. Sarah's eyes darted between us, her breathing rapid and shallow. Finally, she dropped the glass and collapsed to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. The guard called for backup, and soon she was escorted away. I watched her go, feeling a deep sense of sorrow. This was not the woman I had married, but a broken shell of the person she once was. The incident only solidified my resolve to move on. With the divorce proceedings in full swing, I focused on building a new life. Jenna remained a constant source of support, and our bond grew stronger. She was my refuge in the storm, helping me see that there was still light at the end of the tunnel. One evening, Jenna and I decided to take a weekend trip to the coast. We rented a small cottage overlooking the ocean, hoping to escape the chaos of our everyday lives. As we walked along the beach, hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace that had eluded me for so long. "Thank you for being here," I said, squeezing her hand. "I don't know how I would have gotten through this without you." She smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "I'm just glad I could help. You deserve to be happy, Tom." As we watched the sun set over the water, I realized that, despite everything, I was beginning to find happiness again. The journey was far from over, but with Jenna by my side, I knew I could face whatever lay ahead. But life had a way of throwing curveballs when you least expected them. A few days after our return, I received a call from an unknown number. Hesitant, I answered, only to be greeted by a voice from my past. "Hello, Tom. It's Tyler." My blood ran cold. Tyler was the man Sarah had cheated with, the catalyst for my broken marriage. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice tight with anger. "I need to talk to you," he said, sounding surprisingly calm. "It's important." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the next day. When I arrived, I found him sitting at a corner table, looking more haggard than I remembered. "Thanks for meeting me," he said as I sat down. "I know this is awkward, but I need to tell you something." "Make it quick," I replied, not wanting to spend more time with him than necessary. He took a deep breath. "I ended things with Sarah a while ago, but she's been stalking me ever since. She's unstable, Tom. I'm worried she might do something drastic." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. Sarah's behavior had been erratic, but I hadn't realized the extent of her instability. "What do you want me to do about it?" "I don't know," he admitted, looking genuinely concerned. "I just thought you should know. Maybe together we can figure out how to help her." The idea of working with Tyler to help Sarah was unthinkable, but I couldn't ignore the seriousness of the situation. As much as I resented her for what she had done, I didn't want her to hurt herself or anyone else. Over the next few days, Tyler and I reluctantly joined forces to get Sarah the help she needed. We contacted her family, staged an intervention, and eventually got her into a treatment program. It was a painful process, but it was necessary for her well-being. As the dust settled, I realized that my life was finally beginning to move forward. Sarah was getting the help she needed, and I had Jenna by my side. The journey had been long and arduous, but I had emerged stronger and more resilient. With the past behind me, I looked to the future with hope and determination. Life would never be the same, but I was ready to embrace whatever came next. With Sarah now in a treatment program, a sense of relief washed over me. I had done my part to help her, despite the pain and betrayal she had caused. It was time to focus on my own healing and rebuilding my life. Jenna was a constant presence, offering support and understanding. We continued to grow closer, our bond strengthening with each passing day. She had become more than just a distraction. She was a true partner in my journey forward. One evening, as we sat on my porch watching the sunset, Jenna turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Tom, have you ever thought about moving? Maybe a fresh start in a new place could be good for you." The idea had crossed my mind before, but I had always dismissed it. Now, with everything that had happened, it seemed more appealing. "You know, I have thought about it, but where would I go?" She smiled, her eyes lighting up. "I've always dreamed of living near the mountains. How about Colorado? Fresh air, beautiful scenery, and a new beginning." The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. A fresh start in a new place could be exactly what I needed. "Colorado sounds perfect. Let's do it." We spent the next few weeks planning our move, finding a cozy house in a small mountain town. The excitement of starting anew helped to ease the lingering pain of the past. As we packed up my belongings, I felt a sense of hope and anticipation for the future. The move went smoothly, and soon we were settling into our new home. The crisp mountain air and stunning views provided a welcome change from the familiar surroundings of my old life. We spent our days exploring the town, hiking in the mountains, and getting to know our new neighbors. One afternoon, as we hiked a particularly scenic trail, Jenna stopped and turned to me, a serious look on her face. "Tom, there's something I need to tell you." My heart skipped a beat, fearing the worst. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I've been offered a job here, a really good one, but it means I'll be traveling a lot. I wanted to make sure you're okay with that." Relief washed over me. "Of course, Jenna. This is a fresh start for both of us. I want you to take the job if it's what you want." She smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Tom. It means a lot to me." Life in Colorado was everything I had hoped it would be. Jenna's job kept her busy, but we made the most of the time we had together. Our relationship continued to grow stronger, and I found myself falling more in love with her every day. One evening, after a long day at work, I came home to find Jenna waiting for me on the porch, a mischievous smile on her face. "What's going on?" I asked, curious. She handed me an envelope. "Open it." Inside was a pair of plane tickets to Hawaii. "Jenna, what's this?" "I thought we could use a vacation," she said, her smile widening. "Just the two of us, relaxing on the beach." I pulled her into a hug, grateful for her thoughtfulness. "This is amazing. I can't wait." Our trip to Hawaii was everything I had dreamed it would be. We spent our days lounging on the beach, swimming in the crystal clear waters, and exploring the island. It was a perfect escape from the stresses of everyday life. One night, as we sat on the beach watching the stars, Jenna turned to me, a serious look on her face. "Tom, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." My heart swelled with emotion. "I love you too, Jenna. More than anything." She took a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. "Then let's make it official. Marry me, Tom." I was stunned, but in the best possible way. "Yes, Jenna. I will marry you." We returned from Hawaii engaged and full of excitement for the future. Our wedding plans came together quickly, and soon we were standing on a mountaintop, surrounded by friends and family, exchanging vows. It was a beautiful ceremony, filled with love and joy. As we danced at the reception, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come. From the depths of betrayal and heartache, I had found a new beginning with a woman who loved me unconditionally. Life had thrown its share of challenges my way, but I had emerged stronger and more resilient. But life, as always, had more surprises in store. One evening, a few months after our wedding, I received a call from an unknown number. Hesitant, I answered, only to hear a voice I hadn't expected. "Tom, it's Sarah." My heart sank. "Sarah, what do you want?" She sounded calm, almost serene. "I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing better. The treatment helped, and I've been working on myself. I wanted to apologize for everything. Her words took me by surprise. I appreciate that, Sarah. I truly hope you're doing well. There was a pause on the line. I am. And I hope you are too. I heard about your wedding. Congratulations. Thank you, I said, still reeling from the unexpected call. I wish you the best, Sarah. As I hung up, I felt a sense of closure. The past was finally behind me, and I was ready to fully embrace the future. Jenna found me on the porch, looking concerned. Everything okay? I smiled, pulling her into a hug. Everything's perfect. Our life in Colorado was everything I had hoped it would be. We continued to build our future together, facing each new challenge with love and determination. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had led me to a place of happiness and peace. One sunny afternoon, as we hiked our favorite trail, Jenna turned to me with a smile. Do you ever think about how far we've come? I nodded, taking her hand. Every day, and I wouldn't change a thing. We continued up the trail, the future stretching out before us, filled with endless possibilities. Together we were ready to face whatever came our way, knowing that we had found true love and happiness at last. Life in Colorado had settled into a comfortable routine. Jenna and I found joy in the little things. Cooking dinner together, exploring new hiking trails, and cozy evenings by the fire. We were happier than I could have ever imagined. But as with any journey, there were unforeseen challenges ahead. One morning, Jenna woke up feeling unusually tired. At first, we brushed it off as the result of her busy travel schedule, but when the fatigue persisted, we decided it was best for her to see a doctor. I accompanied her to the appointment, holding her hand as we waited for the results. The doctor returned with a solemn expression. Jenna, Tom, I'm afraid there's something we need to discuss. Jenna, your tests indicate that you have chronic fatigue syndrome. It's a condition that can cause extreme tiredness and other symptoms that can be debilitating. The news hit us like a ton of bricks. Jenna's vibrant, active lifestyle was suddenly threatened by a condition neither of us knew much about. We left the doctor's office in a daze, trying to process what this meant for our future. As the days passed, Jenna's condition worsened. She struggled to keep up with her job and eventually had to take a leave of absence. Watching her suffer was heart-wrenching. I did everything I could to support her, but there were moments when I felt utterly helpless. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Jenna turned to me, tears in her eyes. Tom, I don't want to be a burden to you. I took her hand, my heart breaking for her. You're not a burden, Jenna. We're in this together. We'll find a way to get through it. We adjusted our lives to accommodate her condition. I took on more responsibilities around the house and cut back on my hours at work to be there for her. Our friends and neighbors rallied around us, offering support and encouragement. Despite the challenges, our love for each other grew stronger. We found joy in the small victories, celebrating each good day with gratitude. On the tougher days, we leaned on each other, knowing that together we could face anything. One day, while browsing online for potential treatments, I stumbled upon a clinical trial for a new therapy specifically designed for chronic fatigue syndrome. The trial was being conducted at a renowned medical center in Denver. I shared the information with Jenna, and after some consideration, she decided to apply. The trial involved regular trips to Denver, but we were hopeful that it could offer some relief. Each visit brought a mixture of anxiety and optimism as we awaited the results. Jenna's strength and determination were inspiring, and I admired her resilience in the face of such adversity. A few months into the trial, we received promising news. Jenna's symptoms began to improve, and she started to regain some of her energy. It wasn't a complete cure, but it was a significant step forward. We celebrated each milestone, grateful for every bit of progress. As Jenna's condition stabilized, we began to dream about the future again. We talked about traveling, starting a family, and building a life together in our beloved mountain town. The trials we had faced only strengthened our bond and deepened our love. But life had one more surprise in store for us. One crisp autumn morning, as we sat on the porch sipping coffee, a familiar car pulled into our driveway. My heart raced as I recognized the driver, Sarah. She stepped out of the car, looking healthier and more composed than the last time I had seen her. Tom, Jenna, she greeted us with a hesitant smile. I hope I'm not intruding. I exchanged a worried glance with Jenna before addressing Sarah. What brings you here, Sarah? She took a deep breath, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. I wanted to thank you, Tom, for helping me when I was at my lowest. The treatment program saved my life, and I owe it all to you. I was taken aback, unsure of how to respond. I'm glad you're doing better, Sarah. But why come here now? Her expression softened. I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I realized that I needed to make amends for the pain I caused. I know I can't undo the past, but I wanted to apologize to both of you in person. Jenna, ever the compassionate soul, invited Sarah to sit with us. We spent the morning talking, sharing stories, and finding a sense of closure. Sarah's visit, while unexpected, brought a sense of healing and finality to the chapter of my life that had been marked by betrayal and heartache. As Sarah left, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The past no longer held the power it once did. I was free to fully embrace the present and look forward to the future with Jenna. With Sarah's visit behind us, we focused on the next steps in our journey. Jenna's health continued to improve, and we made plans to travel once she felt ready. The prospect of exploring new places and creating new memories filled us with excitement and anticipation. One evening, as we sat by the fireplace, Jenna turned to me with a radiant smile. Tom, I have some news. The trial results have been so positive that my doctor thinks I might be able to go back to work part-time. I pulled her into a tight hug, overjoyed by the news. That's amazing, Jenna. I'm so proud of you. Her eyes sparkled with happiness. I couldn't have done it without you, Tom. You've been my rock through all of this. We celebrated her progress, cherishing each moment and looking forward to the adventures that lay ahead. The road had been long and fraught with challenges, but together we had overcome every obstacle. As we toasted to our future, I realized that true happiness wasn't found in the absence of difficulties, but in the strength and love we shared as we faced them together. Jenna and I had built a life filled with resilience, hope, and unwavering commitment to each other. Our story was far from over, but with Jenna by my side, I knew we could conquer anything life threw our way. The next few years passed in a blur of happiness, growth, and occasional challenges. Jenna's health continued to improve, and she eventually returned to work part-time, finding fulfillment and joy in her career once again. Our love grew deeper with each passing day, and we embraced every moment together. One crisp spring morning, as we hiked our favorite trail, Jenna paused to catch her breath, a serene smile on her face. The mountains stretched out before us, a breathtaking reminder of the beauty and peace we had found in our new life. Tom, Jenna began, her voice filled with emotion. I've been thinking a lot about our future. There's something I want to share with you. I turned to her, my heart pounding with anticipation. What is it, Jenna? She took my hand, her eyes shining with love. I know we've talked about this before, but I want to start a family. I feel ready, and I can't imagine doing it with anyone but you. Tears welled up in my eyes as I pulled her into a hug. I've been thinking the same thing. I want to start a family with you, Jenna. Let's do it. We began planning for our future with a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. Jenna consulted with her doctors to ensure her health was stable enough for pregnancy, and we prepared our home for the arrival of a new member. The prospect of becoming parents filled us with joy and a sense of adventure. Months later, we received the news we had been hoping for. Jenna was pregnant. The joy and excitement we felt were indescribable. We celebrated with our friends and family, grateful for their support and love. The pregnancy was not without its challenges, but Jenna faced each one with her characteristic strength and resilience. I supported her every step of the way, cherishing the opportunity to be by her side during this incredible journey. Finally, the day arrived. Jenna went into labor on a sunny morning, and we rushed to the hospital, our hearts pounding with anticipation. Hours later, our baby girl Emily was born. Holding her for the first time, I was overwhelmed with love and gratitude. She was perfect, a symbol of the love and hope Jenna and I had built together. The months that followed were a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and endless moments of joy. Watching Emily grow and develop brought us closer together as a family. Jenna's health remained stable, and we found a balance between work, parenting, and our relationship. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching Emily play in the yard, Jenna turned to me with a contented smile. Tom, I can't believe how far we've come. From the darkest days to this beautiful life we've built together. I nodded, my heart swelling with love. It's been an incredible journey, Jenna. I wouldn't change a thing. You and Emily are my everything. As we watched the sun set over the mountains, I reflected on the path that had brought us here. The pain and betrayal of the past had given way to a future filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. Jenna and I had faced every challenge together, and our bond was stronger than ever. Life continued to bring its ups and downs, but with Jenna by my side, I knew we could handle anything. We celebrated Emily's first steps, her first words, and every milestone that came our way. Our home was filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a bright future. Years later, as Emily grew into a curious and adventurous little girl, we took her to the same trails Jenna and I had hiked. Sharing our love for nature and adventure with her brought our journey full circle. We had come a long way from the pain and uncertainty of the past, and we were stronger and more united for it. One day, as we sat by the fireplace, Jenna turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Tom, do you ever think about how far we've come? From the heartbreak and betrayal to this beautiful life we've built? I smiled, taking her hand. Every day, Jenna, and I'm grateful for every moment. We've faced so much together, and it's made us stronger. She nodded, her eyes filled with love. I wouldn't trade our journey for anything. You and Emily are my world. As we sat there, watching the flames dance in the fireplace, I felt a profound sense of peace. The past was behind us, and our future was bright. We had built a life filled with love, resilience, and hope. Our story was one of overcoming adversity, finding strength in each other, and embracing the beauty of the present. With Jenna and Emily by my side, I knew that the future held endless possibilities. No matter what challenges came our way, we would face them together, united by the love that had brought us this far. And so, as the sun set on another day in our mountain home, I held Jenna and Emily close, knowing that we had truly found our happily ever after. The journey had been long and filled with unexpected twists, but it had led us to a place of love and fulfillment beyond anything I could have imagined. Together, we were ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that our love would guide us through.